Welcome back to Mech Warrior 4. This is SsgtVenere, teaching you how to make a decent mech. Today, our mech category is going to be the Thor. Now, Thor is my default mech I use in every match, and this is my clan Thor. The Bloodstone paint job and the ECMs and the dual scopes. Now, the dual scopes and the ECM is the electric counter, and this will counter anybody's radar, so you're basically stealth. And the dual scopes makes it a wider scope range, and you can see farther into it. Let's show you my armor. My legs are just above average. They're about 1.4 and 1.4 on each. They're very, very strong, and they can withstand 2 Gauss cannons and 2 LBX-20s from far distance and short distance. Now, the weakest part of a Thor is going to be either the left torso or the left arm. Now, I'm skipping out the right arm and the right torso because the left arm and left torso when you're fighting is usually out more, so it's an easier chance of getting hit. Now, in other recent matches I've been playing online, usually everybody's aiming for my legs. Now that's very good to take out Thor, but when you're aiming for my legs, your torso is wide open, and I can easily aim for this part of the mech or this part of the mech. So it's an easy target. Anyways, that is my armor, and this is my weapons. I have an MRM-20, which is an automatic rocket that will connect to anything if you shoot it. It also has there's a new perk they made for the new Mech Warrior game that if you shoot it from far away, it will lock onto the target and shoot up close. It will actually stop in its distance, it'll become a homing missile, and just come straight after you without the yellow reticle. Now, we have the 2 LBX-20s that are basically the most OP beacon weapon in this game, next to the railgun and the Gauss cannons. The reason why I'm using these two is because they are probably the most OP weapons, and they're very strong, and they will take down a mech in one blast. Knock even down a Behemoth 2 with one shot. Now, you want to keep the Thor's arms with strong weapons. Now, they have gray slots, which are you can put anything in it. Now, the orange one for my right torso is a small pulse and a small laser. You want to keep this. These are the basic defense parts. You want to keep it defense parts like this, so the mech will be easy to protect. Now, when these things are reloading, you want to have some backup, and that's when you have this. Okay. Now to create your mech. We're going to make a decent mech out of the Thor. Okay, so the paint job, we're going to add let's add my alternate clan colors of the Ozark Winter. Now, to make it part of our clan, we have to be red and black. But just for now, we're just going to make it a training one, and we're going to make it this one. We're going to keep the ECM, and we're going to keep the dual scopes, because that's basically helping the Thor become a Thor. Now, we're going to get rid of this stuff, just because keeping it is going to make your mech a whole lot weaker. Now, I'm going to explain to you what each weapon does. Now, the orange ones are the lasers. Lasers are very good for close range and sometimes long range. Mech Warriors added some new type of lasers into it, and they also added the PPCs. Now, the new ones have the Atlas laser and the medium and large lasers. Now, you probably think that these are too OP, overpowered, and nobody will use them. Well, in tournament matches, these are usable, and it can be pain when you get shot by even a small laser and die. Anyways, we also have new rockets. The green are for rockets and missiles. They have different types of perks, and they are basically the savior of your mech if you're from long range. Then you have the yellow, the beacon weapons. Now, these are the strongest weapons in the game. I'll tell you why. The beacon weapons are probably the most expensive, but also the most strong, because they have the toughest ground and pound attack. Because they're projectiles, and they're cheap. Some of them are cheap, some of them are expensive, but some are cheap. And the LBXs and the HVACs are probably the best to use. Now, for this mech, usually the default is the LBX-10. Now, you don't want to buy the regular LBX-10 because it's the same price. No, actually, it's expensive, but the same power. So I want to get the clan LBX-10s. Now, we're first actually going to start off with the rockets, because that's the top of the mech right here. Recommend for rockets, you want to add either LRMs or SRMs. Now, to keep yourself safe, you probably want to add an SRM. So for right now, we're going to add an SRM 10. And now for the arms, we're going to add, it's your choice. You can add lasers, or you can add the beacon weapons. For me, I recommend the beacon weapons, because I've been playing for so long. The beacon weapons have been probably the strongest, and I've seen everything basically. I would recommend the beacon weapons, but it's your mech, so you're probably going to want to add either the PPC or you're going to try something new. So we're going to add the ER PPC to this side, and you're probably going to want a beacon weapon on the other side. Now you want to be careful because it's not measured out that way. You're gonna have basically one overweighted on the other side. So your right arm is going to be more powerful than your left arm. Now the bad thing about this is when you have your cooling thing, for right now your cooling thing is 87 and 91. When you start buying lasers, the cooling thing goes down. Now watch what happens when I add another PPC. The laser part will go down. I'll add an Atlas laser. See how far down that went? That almost cut in half right there. Now you want to be careful because if you put an Atlas laser on the lasers, it'll cut your thing down so far. So for recommendation for online battles, get rid of this and add an LBX-10. Your heat goes down a little bit, but it's not as much as before. So now you have a decent mech. Now to add for the right torso, you still have 1250. You still have a lot of stuff. So you're saving money, but at the same time you want to make your mech at least strong. So for the right thing, we're going to add an HVAC 2. Now this weapon might not seem strong, but it actually is very strong. See, the power is 1200, the range is 1200, which is very good. The power is 2, which is for like a light laser. 0.20 is the projectile rate, and the 1.0 is the heat. Now, to be safe, you're probably going to want to add the LAC2, which is a little weaker, but it's still good. So we're going to add the LAC2, and now we have 750 left. Your choice, you can either add something to the right thing right here, or the right thing right here. Now, I recommend adding a laser, because mine had protection, and when your other ones are reloading, you're going to have protection. So I'm going to add the clan lasers. Now, the difference between the clan and the medium, the regular lasers, is the clan laser is cheaper, and it's actually stronger. So you're going to want to add something that's cheaper and stronger. So we're going to add those two, and you're good to go. Now, to recommend for speed, you don't want to make your Thor too fast, but you want to make it quick. You want to make it agile and quick. So we're going to add the speed a little higher. Now your mech is fast. Your mech is probably one of the fastest in the game right now. 75 speed is probably about 85 kilometers an hour, and that is pretty good. Now, to keep your mech from cooling and shutting down, you want to keep the speed at the same state. Now you have 0.50 left. You can either take your speed down one notch and add something else like that, which cools your mech down, but I recommend the speed. So your mech is all set up. You have the paint tone, you have the clan LAMs right here, you have the ECMs, which counters radar, which are stealthy, and then you have all your mech right here. Now to test this mech, we are going to actually add the trigger points. Now the trigger points are very important because you want to use the weapons not simultaneously. You want to use them a variety of times. Now the CSRM, you want to keep at 3, 4, 5, or 6 because you don't want to keep on firing the trigger key or the spacebar when you're firing, because if you keep on firing the spacebar and the trigger key, you're going to be firing all at the same time and you will shut down. No, so I recommend either 3, 4, 5, or 6. Now for the PPC, now this one's difficult because you don't want to use the 1, because if you keep on using 1, you're going to keep on firing the same thing over and over again. So I recommend 1 or 4. Now for the LBX AC-10 and the AC-2. Now remember, these are beacon ones, so you're going to use these at the same time. Now the AC-2 is going to have a higher fire rate than the LBX AC-10, so you're going to want to keep the AC-2 at a minimum fire rate of 2, and keep it at the second trigger key. Now for the ER medium lasers, you're going to keep it 1, because you're going to fire those at the same time. Alright, you're good to go.